Good. You made it into the part of the room where the air gets thin, because a real shark just clocked your next move. Not your words, not your posts, not your "I'm fine" smile, your pattern. And now they're panicking. Yeah, panicking. Because sharks don't panic over noise. They panic over signals. They panic when something in the water changes and they can't explain it. And you changed. Not loud, not flashy. You changed in that quiet way that scares people who built their whole life on predicting you. You know what that feels like, right? That weird moment where you're sitting there, phone in your hand, world doing its usual circus routine, and you realize, I don't want the same life anymore. You didn't say it out loud. You didn't announce it. You didn't beg for attention. You just switched. And the shark noticed, because the shark isn't your friend. They're not your fan. They're not your supporter. They're the kind of person who can smell a future before it happens. They can tell when someone's about to stop being usable. They can tell when someone's about to stop being small. And you're giving off that energy now. That dangerous energy. The kind that says, I'm done being the easy version of me. And you think I'm exaggerating? No. Listen, there's a specific kind of panic that shows up in powerful people. Not screaming panic, not running panic. It's the control panic. It's the sudden uptick in messages, the checking in that feels too sweet, the just wanted to see how you're doing, that lands like a surveillance drone. It's the random compliment that arrives late, like a bribe. It's the fake laughter. It's the sudden interest in your life after months of treating you like background noise. It's that weird shift when someone who never noticed you before suddenly remembers your name. They saw something. They felt something. They don't know exactly what it is yet, but they can feel it crawling up the walls of the room. Your momentum. Your silence got heavier. Your eyes started holding a different kind of truth. Your decisions started clicking faster. You started saying no without writing a whole apology essay afterward. And that, right there, that's when the shark goes from confident to nervous. Because sharks are not scared of beginners. They're scared of people who've been broken and didn't die. They're scared of someone who's been embarrassed, played, used, left out, laughed at, underestimated, dismissed. And instead of turning into a bitter mess, they turn into a blade. That's you. And before you even notice it, you start doing these little things differently. You stop explaining. You stop oversharing. You stop trying to be understood by people who only listen to collect ammo. You stop telling everyone your plan. You stop leaking your soul into people who don't deserve the heat of it. You become expensive. And that's the moment the shark gets that tight feeling. Because the shark's whole power comes from a simple truth. Most people are predictable. Most people will do the same dumb loop forever. They'll complain. Then they'll settle. Then they'll laugh like it's fine. Then they'll call it life. Then they'll die with a mouthful of regrets. Sharks build empires on that. Sharks build entire social circles on that. Sharks build careers on that. They learn your buttons. They learn your insecurities. They learn your little guilt reflex. They learn how to make you feel like you're too much or not enough, depending on which version keeps you obedient. But when you start healing, when you start evolving, their playbook stops working. And that is terrifying for them, because you're not just doing better. You're not just getting motivated. You're becoming the kind of person they can't control. And that's what this is really about. Control. See, you thought your whole life was about talent and luck and timing. Cute. It's about who can control your emotions, who can control your attention, who can control what you believe about yourself at 2:13 a.m. when your mind turns into a courtroom and you're the defendant. That's where most people lose. They lose alone, not because they're weak, because they're unguided, because they're bleeding and pretending they're not, because nobody taught them how to convert pain into power without becoming a monster. And you've been standing right on that edge. Part of you wants to be soft again. Part of you wants to trust again. Part of you wants to go back to that naive version that thought hard work automatically equals reward. But another part of you, that other part is waking up, and it's not polite, it's not cute, it's not looking for permission, it's looking for results. And the shark sees that part waking up and goes, oh no. Because once you awaken that part, you start noticing patterns you used to ignore. You notice who only talks to you when they need something. You notice who gets weird when you're winning. You notice who claps for you with their hands but curses you with their eyes. You notice the people who love you as long as you stay in the role they assigned you. The funny one, the helpful one, the quiet one, the always available one. And the moment you step out of that role, they start acting different. They start testing you. They start poking your boundaries like little kids tapping a fence, trying to see if it's electrified. They say things like, you've changed. Yeah, that's the point. You didn't come this far to stay the same. You didn't survive what you survived to remain digestible. And it's crazy how the same people who wanted you to be confident start panicking the moment your confidence stops being performative. Because here's the secret. Most people love confidence that still asks for approval. They love the version of you that says, I'm strong, right? Please tell me I'm strong. But the moment you become confident in a way that doesn't seek applause, the moment your confidence becomes quiet and final, the moment your eyes say, I'm not negotiating with anyone anymore, that's when people get uncomfortable. That's when the shark gets nervous. And listen, this shark isn't just some random hater on the internet. This shark can be your boss, your friend, your partner, your cousin, your mentor, your so-called day one. Anyone who benefits from you staying small becomes a shark the moment you grow teeth. And you have teeth now. Not violence, not chaos. Teeth in the sense that you can bite through lies. You can bite through manipulation. You can bite through the little guilt traps. You can bite through the fake urgency people use to control you. You can bite through the "but I need you" that's really just, I'm used to using you. That's what you're learning. And that's why the shark is panicking. Because sharks don't just want to win. They want to win without resistance. They want you exhausted. They want you emotional. They want you messy. They want you reacting all the time, so you never have time to build. Because a reactive person is predictable. A building person becomes unrecognizable. And that's you right now. You're building, even if it doesn't look like it yet. Even if your bank account hasn't caught up. Even if your body hasn't caught up. Even if your followers haven't caught up. Even if your family still thinks you're going through a phase. You're building in places they can't see. You're building in your discipline. You're building in your standards. You're building in what you tolerate. You're building in what you refuse to chase. And you want to know the clearest sign that you're winning? the shark starts doing weird stuff. They try to distract you. They try to pull you into drama. They try to bait you into explaining yourself. They suddenly want a debate. They suddenly want closure. They suddenly want to clear the air. No, they don't want clarity. They want access. They want emotional access, because that's how they steer you. They want you in the same old loop. You feel misunderstood. You over-explain. You get vulnerable. They store it. They use it. That's the shark's favorite meal. And you're not feeding them anymore. You're learning the most disrespectful skill on earth. You're learning to stay calm while somebody else tries to provoke your old self. You're learning to not flinch when someone withdraws affection to punish you. You're learning to not chase people who choose distance. You're learning to not beg. You're learning to not text a paragraph when silence is the only answer they deserve. And that makes the shark panic. Because if you can't be guilted, you can't be controlled. If you can't be baited, you can't be dragged. If you can't be embarrassed into shrinking, you can't be owned. So the shark goes to plan B. They start whispering. They start planting little seeds. They talk to mutuals. They hint. They imply. They try to make you look unstable. They try to make you look arrogant. They try to make you look like the villain because you stopped being the volunteer. They'll say, they're acting different lately. Of course, because the old you was available. The old you was easy to predict. The old you would take disrespect and call it being understanding. The old you would absorb pain and call it being mature. The old you would stay quiet and call it keeping the peace. But what did that peace ever cost you? Your sleep, your self-esteem, your time, your future. Your peace was never peace. It was you, taking damage quietly. And now you're done taking damage quietly. Now you're the kind of person who can sit at a table full of smiling faces and still feel the knives under the napkins. Now you can hear the tone under the words. Now you can smell jealousy through compliments. Now you can feel when somebody's support is actually a leash. And once you learn that, you can't unlearn it. You start moving smarter. You start protecting your energy like it's money. Because it is. Energy is currency. Attention is currency. Time is currency. And you've been giving away your currency to people who don't invest it. They spend it. They waste it. They burn it. They buy cheap thrills with it while you go home empty. But not anymore. See, the shark has a problem. The shark is used to being the smartest one in the room. Used to being the one who sees 3 moves ahead. Used to being the one who always has options. But now you're making moves in silence. And silence is terrifying to a shark. Because sharks rely on you making noise. They rely on you venting. They rely on you posting your feelings. They rely on you calling someone and telling them everything. They rely on you seeking validation. But when you go quiet, not depressed quiet, not defeated quiet, strategic quiet, that quiet where you're sharpening, that quiet where you're watching, that quiet where you're not asking, you're deciding, that quiet is lethal to their prediction model. So they panic. And here's where it gets delicious. Because the shark's panic is not your problem. Their panic is proof. Proof that your next move is real. Proof that your aura changed. Proof that you're about to do something they cannot stop. And you might be thinking, why would someone panic over me? Because you represent what they fear. A person who sees through them. A person who won't be impressed. A person who won't be bought with attention. A person who won't fold under pressure. A person who's been to hell emotionally and came back with receipts. That's why. And you want to know what the shark is really scared of? They're not scared you'll succeed. They're scared you'll succeed and never need them again. They're scared you'll level up and your boundaries will become unbreakable. They're scared you'll stop seeking their approval, their access, their nod, their invitation, their endorsement. They're scared you'll stop trying to be included and start building something so big that they have to ask to be included. That's the reversal. That's the nightmare. That's the moment the predator realizes the water belongs to someone else now. So listen closely. This is where most people mess it up. They feel the shark watching. They feel the shift. They feel the tension. And they get emotional. They get cocky. They get loud. They start subtweeting. They start explaining. Don't. Your power is not in proving. Your power is in doing. Your power is in executing while they're busy spiraling. Let them panic. Let them whisper. Let them try to bait you into a fight you don't need. Because the shark wants one thing. They want you in public. They want you exposed. They want you performing your pain for entertainment. They want you tired. They want you wasting your energy on defending yourself. Because every minute you spend defending your character is a minute you're not building your kingdom, and they know that. So you do something that makes predators lose their minds. You don't respond. You don't explain. You don't chase. You don't fight for a seat at a table that serves poison. You move quietly, sharply, relentlessly. And while you're moving, you cap your heart clean enough to not become them, but your standards sharp enough to never be prey again. Because I'm not here to turn you into a monster. I'm here to wake up the version of you that can survive monsters. The version of you that can love deeply but walk away instantly. The version of you that can forgive but never forget the pattern. The version of you that can be kind without being available. The version of you that can be soft with the right people and ice to anyone who tries to manipulate you. That version is expensive, and you're becoming that. Now, there's a reason the shark clocked your next move. It's because you've been doing something different lately. Maybe you finally stopped complaining and started planning. Maybe you finally got sick of your own excuses. Maybe you finally saw how much time you wasted trying to get people to treat you right. Maybe you realized respect isn't requested, it's enforced. Maybe you realized your environment is dragging you down. Maybe you realized you're not lazy. You're just drained from carrying everybody else's chaos. Maybe you realized you've been loyal to people who would trade you for convenience. Maybe you realized you've been shrinking to keep somebody else comfortable. And now, you're done. So the shark is watching. Because when a person stops being emotionally available to the wrong people, they become unstoppable. They become focused. They become dangerous in the best way. They become the kind of person who can walk into a room and not need to be liked. And let's be real, that's a superpower. Because the need to be liked is the leash. The need to be included is the cage. The need to be understood is the trap. And you're stepping out of all three. That's why the shark is panicking. Because you're about to make a move that changes the relationship dynamic forever. You're about to switch the power. You're about to stop negotiating. You're about to stop asking. You're about to stop waiting. And once you do that, there's no going back. Not because you can't. Because you won't want to. Because it feels too good to finally be in control of your own mind. It feels too good to wake up and not dread people. It feels too good to protect your peace like it's sacred. It feels too good to stop being the emotional trash can for other people's unresolved issues. It feels too good to stop being the strong one who suffers quietly. It feels too good to be strong and strategic. So here's what you do. You keep it simple. You keep it clean. You keep it cold. You keep your plan quiet. You keep your circle tighter than ever. You keep your emotions for people who earned them. And you keep your work ethic disrespectfully consistent. Because nothing scares sharks more than consistency. They can handle talent. They can handle potential. They can handle dreams. But discipline? Discipline is a language sharks don't speak. Because discipline can't be manipulated. Discipline doesn't beg. Discipline doesn't need a mood. Discipline doesn't need permission. Discipline just shows up. So you show up, even when you're tired, even when you're sad, even when you're angry. Especially when you're angry, you take that anger and turn it into reps, turn it into pages, turn it into progress, turn it into receipts, turn it into a future that makes your past look like a bad joke. And while you're doing that, pay attention to what the shark does. They will test you. They'll pretend they don't care, but their eyes will track you. They'll dismiss you, but their questions will reveal obsession. They'll talk down on you, but their behavior will scream fear. They'll call you lucky because they refuse to admit you're disciplined. They'll say you changed because they missed the old you they could control. They'll act like you're the problem because you stopped accepting their behavior. Let them, because the truth is, the shark didn't clock your next move by accident. They clocked it because your energy is no longer asking, "What do you want from me?" It's asking, "What do I want from me?" And that question is the beginning of the end for anyone who benefited from your confusion. So keep going. Don't announce. Don't argue. Don't seek approval. Don't seek revenge through drama. Revenge is quiet. Revenge is elevation. Revenge is becoming so solid that their opinion can't even land on you anymore. Revenge is when they realize they can't reach you. Not because you blocked them, because you outgrew the frequency. And the best part, the shark's panic is contagious. Other people start sensing it. They start watching you differently. They start treating you differently. Not because you demanded respect, because you started moving like a person who respects themselves. And once you move like that, the whole world adjusts. Some people will rise to meet you. Some people will expose themselves. Some people will disappear. Let them. That's not loss. That's filtration. That's life removing the weak links. That's you finally getting the space you needed to become who you were supposed to be all along. And listen carefully. The shark isn't panicking because you're loud. They're panicking because you're quiet. They're panicking because you stopped reacting. They're panicking because you stopped needing them. They're panicking because your next move is going to be so clean, so efficient, so undeniable that even they can't spin it. Even they can't discredit it. Even they can't minimize it. And when your next move hits, when it lands, when it starts changing your reality, they'll do one more thing. They'll try to re-enter your life. They'll try to reconnect. They'll act like nothing happened. They'll pretend they believed in you all along. They'll smile. They'll offer opportunities. They'll offer friendships. They'll offer support. But it won't be support. It'll be a hook, a leash, a way back in. Because sharks don't like losing access to rising people. So before that moment comes, decide now. Decide who gets access to you when you level up. Decide who gets your time. Decide who gets your loyalty. Decide who gets to sit close to your future. Because the version of you that's coming, that version doesn't have room for everyone. And you know it. You feel it. That version is not here to be liked. That version is here to be free. That version is here to win. That version is here to stop playing small. And that's why a true shark just clocked your next move. And they're panicking because they can see it in the way you're not begging anymore. They can hear it in the way you're not explaining anymore. They can feel it in the way your presence is getting heavier. And they're realizing you're not about to make a move for attention. You're about to make a move that changes the entire game. And when you do, the first thing you're going to notice is how many people suddenly try to act like they always saw it coming. Like they were always on your side. Like they weren't the same ones who